Gut Punched, Alzheimer's, and Caregivers. Navigating the insidious illness of Alzheimer's is something nobody asks for. The disease sneaks up on you and your loved one, and it feels like you've been sucker punched in the gut. Then you ask, where do we turn for help? Who do we call? What do we do? These questions and more are what we hope to answer and give you some direction and hope. Now let's join our host, Jeff Edwards.
Greetings and welcome. This is Gut Punch, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, episode 72, or part 3 of My Wife is in the 1%. How you doing this week? Glad you're here. Today, we're going to have a discussion about my education of what happens when your wife's brain encounters an amyloid-clearing medication, with the lessons I learned about home health care companies and insurance. And we have a couple of articles about food, the Mediterranean diet slashing Alzheimer's risk, and brain foods that may help prevent dementia. Now, there is a huge connection between the gut, which is your stomach, and Alzheimer's. And I'm hoping to be able to talk with a doctor about this in a future episode. Did you know September is World Alzheimer's Awareness Month? That's right. There's only about 9 days left in the month, so help the Alzheimer's Association if you can. September, where did the year go? If you're living up north, you're probably having some real nice weather, but fall is on its way. Now, this wouldn't be Gut Punched if we didn't go over our tenets or rules. The tenets we follow at Gut Punch, Alzheimer's and Caregivers are simple. Number 1, you have to take care of yourself, because if something happens to you, who is going to take care of your loved one? Number 2, you can't do it alone. You need help. Find good caregiver groups or network with friends or relatives. Number 3, make a list of people, friends, relatives, co-workers who have offered to help you in time of need. And then make a list of things you need done but can't do yourself, because caregiving duties are overwhelming. Use the lists. Start at the top and keep going till you get what you need done. You'll find it very helpful. Number 4, create a help signal. Identify a cue or phrase to confirm your loved one is comfortable with receiving help, and that's with somebody who's not a family member. Number 5, caregiving. Love it or hate it. It will be your life till it's not. Give it your all. If you like what you hear, subscribe to the podcast, and please leave us a 5-star review. Help us grow and share this podcast with others who have someone who has a family member or friends who are dealing with a loved one who has Alzheimer's or any type of dementia, that you would let them know about this podcast. They may need the information and resources, and there is help and hope out there for everyone. You just must know where and how to find it, and that's why we're here. Now, in part 1, we discussed the details of what happened to my wife being in the 1%. Part 2, we talked about doctors and hospitals. And this is part 3. We're going to talk about home health care and insurance companies, with some lessons that caregivers might find useful. And I know I wish I had known this stuff before. So let's get to it. Okay, we are going to continue with discussion of My Wife is in the 1%. And this is part 3. Home health care or physical therapy and insurance companies, and some lessons I learned. So to recap quickly, on July 28th, my wife, who has Alzheimer's, was rushed to the hospital with major brain swelling and brain bleed. The brain was so swollen, it was pressing against the optic nerves, which are located in the back of the brain, shutting down the use of the left leg, left arm, left eye, and partially on the right eye. Fortunately, through heavy-duty steroids and good nursing, they were able to bring down the swelling some in the 6 days she was in the hospital. Now, as an aside, we were just told by one of our doctors it will probably take 12 to 18 months for the brain to be healed, as the brain takes the longest time of our organs to heal itself. Whew. Now, if you want more details, you can listen to part 1, episode 70, and part 2 of episode 71. So, we decided against putting my wife into a rehab facility and opted for home PT. After I told the case manager that was what we wanted to do, he said he'd get the word out there. What did that mean? Well, I figured he would get us the names of some places to contact. In reality, it wasn't quite like that. I know some companies I've had contact with, so I was reaching out via email and text, And after about an hour, my phone was starting to blow up with text and calls. What is this, I thought. I make a habit that I don't answer my phone if I don't recognize the number. If they want to talk, leave me a message and I'll call back. And I was getting a lot of those calls. Some left messages, like this one. Hello, this is blah, blah, blah from blah, blah, blah company. We wanted to make sure you were home. We have someone on the way to take care of your wife's physical therapy. There was more than one of those calls. Or another, call us back. We want to take care of your wife's physical therapy. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is how it works, I think. LOL. So naive I am. So while sitting in the room looking through information and companies, there's a knock on the door. A younger, professionally dressed woman comes into the room and introduces herself as blah, blah, blah. And she's from blah, blah company. And she'd like to talk to us about the possibility of handling my wife's physical therapy. Now, I'll give her credit for being professional. A smart salesperson, I thought. She was very polite and engaging in explaining who she was, what she does, who she does it for, and what her company can provide for us. She asked all the right questions and listened to my wife and me. A nice sales pitch, and she was smooth. We both liked her, and I appreciated her honesty and that she was aggressive enough to come to the hospital and talk with us without assuming anything. We signed an agreement right then and there. She said someone would call and set up a time to come see us. Blah, 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 blah. With what was going on, I didn't have a lot of time to be at home and pay attention to the non-immediate tasks like reading all the mail that came in. From the time I brought my wife home on Saturday afternoon, I spent all the time taking care of her and helping her settle back into being home. On that Monday, a nurse from the company we contracted came to the house, and then about an hour later, a physical therapist came by, both asking questions, taking notes, and assessing the needs of my wife. My wife was comfortable with both. On Tuesday, an occupational therapist came by and determined that my wife really didn't need those services. So Wednesday rolls around, and we get a call from the physical therapist, and they tell me she can't come Wednesday because our insurance carrier hasn't responded to her main office with authorization. And I go, what now? So I look through my pile of mail and see something from the insurance company. I look at the letter saying PT has been approved, and here's where I make a mistake. I didn't take the time to read everything. So I let PT know it's been approved, but she said she was told it wasn't for her company, but another company. What? I look again at the paper, reading every line this time. And I go, who the heck is this company? I've never heard of them, never spoken to them, never took a phone call from them. How did this happen? So I have to call the company I hired, find out who talked to whom and what was going on. It required me to gather all my information, call my insurance company twice just to find out what was going on. It took until late Friday to write things and get the company we wanted to get insurance approval. What a pain. Something I learned is that I did not know the procedures of how these companies get the information. Apparently, the case manager sends out information to companies like a chance to bid on the contract. But what information did they send out? And that's a good question. And I'm not 100% sure. And herein lies a problem. Apparently, my wife's information is given, plus the insurer's information, but it's enough for a company to do an end around. And that's a little football jargon. This nameless company called the insurance company and told them they were going to be handling my wife's physical therapy. Since they had all my wife's info and gave it to the insurance company, they approved it without even contacting me. What? Sneaky to say the least. Unethical? Maybe. I was not a happy camper. All said, the company we signed with went over and above to get it straightened out with our insurance company. They're a good company with a great reputation and very good people who help work with patients. I'd recommend them to everybody. My wife completed the PT and has made a lot of progress. Even after the PT was done, I kept her on a tight schedule of continuing what she learned and what she's been doing on her own, like riding her bike and balancing exercises, word puzzles, using her coloring book. Yep, you heard that right. It helps the eye-to-hand connection. Okay, and now for some lessons. Lesson number 1. Even though you may be stressed and scattered, always read the fine print when you get something from your insurance carrier, especially when you're going through a crisis. And know what your case manager is doing, what they are providing to outside companies. Lesson number 2. Do your due diligence before you have a crisis. Create a list ahead of time of home health care companies in case you might need one. Ask around for referrals from people you know. It's the old I got a guy thing. Lesson number 3. Always have a pen or pencil and a notepad so you can take notes and information from the companies that call and want your business. This way, you can quickly research the company that you might eventually contract with. Lesson number 4. When in doubt if your insurance company will approve a service, call them. Example, in case your loved one needs an ambulance to take them to the hospital, there are certain guidelines they have on what they will pay. Lesson number 5. Do yourself a favor and start researching facilities now with memory care. There are so many to choose from. Make sure it's a right fit for your loved one and you. Now, you might want to re-listen to Gut Punched episode 41, where we talk with our good friend Hal, who provides a ton of information on what to look for. He did his homework that was right for him and his wife. It was outstanding. Lesson number 6. Seek tenet number 1. Take care of yourself. If something happens to you, who's going to take care of your loved one? You're going to be going through a lot of things. You'll be tired, irritable, stressed to the max. That means you'll be susceptible to getting sick or worse. And then see tenet number 2 and tenet number 3. This was an education for me, no doubt. Learned a lot of things I didn't know and has now given me a plan. Here's something to think about. Create yourself a list or a book that has all the information and do it when you have time. Prepare. We talk about that with hurricanes, but I'm telling you that with Alzheimer's and dementia. Prepare. Look ahead. It's not easy, but you will benefit by it. Here's an article from Newsmax. It's called Mediterranean Diet Slashes Alzheimer's Risk. It was dated Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025, written by Lindsay Allison. A groundbreaking study reveals that people at the highest genetic risk for Alzheimer's disease can cut their odds of developing dementia by 35% simply by following the Mediterranean diet. The power of diet against Alzheimer's. The study focused on individuals carrying 2 copies of the APOE4 gene, the strongest known genetic risk factors for Alzheimer's. Researchers found that adopting the Mediterranean diet, rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, olive oil, fish, and poultry, had a profound protective effect on the brain. This eating pattern is already known for reducing inflammation and supporting heart health. Now, evidence suggests it also plays a powerful role in protecting memory and cognition. Now, here are the study details. The research team analyzed data on 4,215 women in the Nurses' Health Study, following them from 1989 to 2023, average age 57 at baseline. The researchers also analyzed similar data from 1,490 men in the Health Professionals Follow-Up Study from 1993 to 2023. And that's according to the Harvard Gazette. Now, the study concluded that people following a more Mediterranean-style diet had a lower risk of developing dementia and showed slower cognitive decline. The protective effect of the diet was strongest in the high-risk group with 2 copies of the APOE4 gene variant, suggesting that diet may help offset genetic risk. Quote, the benefit was highest for people with APOE4 gene, especially those with 2 copies of APOE4, confirmed Yuki Liu, the lead author of Mass General Brigham study published in the journal Nature. Not only did following a baseline of Mediterranean diet reduce the probability of developing dementia by 35% in people with 2 APOE4 genes, but higher adherence to the diet further reduced their risk. And why the diet works is the study found that people with the APOE4 have unique metabolic profiles that respond dramatically to healthy nutrients in the Mediterranean diet. Improvements were seen in digestion, nerve and tissue repair, and energy production, and other metabolic processes, says Liu. Improving the metabolic function in people with APOE4 through diet, or might explain, or at least partially explain, the huge fall in dementia risk we saw in our study, she said. Of course, we need future studies to further validate that concept. Now, the experts call it a breakthrough. For years, doctors believed people with 2 copies of APOE4 were almost destined to develop Alzheimer's. But this study proves otherwise. And there's more diet stuff that contributes to dementia.
We'll be right back to Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
In the fight against Alzheimer's, now matters more than ever. Because now we have treatments that could change everything. But now is no time to stop. Now we've got momentum, so now we use it. Now we seize the moment. Now we turn the tide. Now we make a difference and make some noise. Now is the time to get up, get out, and join the movement. At the Alzheimer's Association Walk to End Alzheimer's, held in over 600 communities nationwide. And we need you with us. Because now is the time for hope. Join the fight at alz.org/walk.
This is Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Brain foods that may help prevent dementia. This was medically reviewed by Jabin Begum, MD, on June 24th, 2025. The Mind Diet. Now, this is a combination of 2 diets that have well-known health benefits, Mediterranean and DASH. It's designed to prevent or slow brain decline. Early studies show that it lowers risk of Alzheimer's by 53% in those who follow it closely and by 35% in those who follow more loosely. The name is short for Mediterranean Diet Intervention for Neurodegenerative Delay. The recommendation was originally intended for healthy older adults, but in 2018 it was expanded to also apply to octogenarians who have had a stroke. Brain healthy food groups. The Mind Diet has 10 groups: green leafy vegetables, other vegetables, nuts, berries, beans, whole grains, fish, poultry, olive oil, and wine. You have to love a diet that has wine as a food group. I agree. Protein. The diet calls for beans every other day, poultry twice a week, and fish once a week. Or make a bean and turkey chili to eat for a few days. All these foods are high in protein and low in saturated fats, making them good for your overall health as well as your brain health. Vegetables and grains. You'll need a salad, 1 other vegetable, and 3 servings of whole grains every day. Any vegetable will do, but collard greens, kale, and spinach are especially good. Though there's little research on brain function in grains, part of the science behind the Mind Diet may include how foods work together. Researchers are still trying to figure out why it works so well. Snacks. Nuts and berries are ideal snacks. Both have been linked to better brain health. Blueberries and strawberries in particular help keep your brain working at its best and may slow symptoms linked to Alzheimer's. Wine. Wine has been shown to improve brain health and help protect against Alzheimer's in several studies. But the key is moderation. Typically, that's 1 glass a day for women and 2 for men. More than that can have bad effects on brain health and may make you more likely to get dementia. Olive oil. It's delicious on bread, salad, pasta, cooked greens, and any number of other things. It's also been shown to improve brain function over the long term and protect against dementia. Unhealthy groups. The Mind Diet specifically limits red meat, butter and margarine, cheese, pastries, and sweets, or fried or fast food. You should have fewer than 4 servings a week of red meat, less than a tablespoon of butter a day, and less than a serving a week of each of the following: whole fat cheese, fried food, and fast food. So pretty interesting. The brain foods that may help prevent dementia. Just a reminder that the dates for the Alzheimer's Walk for Life in Southwest Florida are Lee County, November 8th, and Collier County, November 22nd. And for around the U.S., you can go to alz.org and click the link that will give you dates and locations for where you can participate. It's a great thing to do. For more information, reach out to the Dubin Center at dubincenter.com. And you can check out the Alzheimer's Support Network at alzsupport.org. Also, to find your local chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, you can visit or call their toll-free hotline at 1-800-272-3900. That's 1-800-272-3900. We mention the guide frequently. It's another great resource and provides help and respite care. It's probably easier to just Google it, Edge it, or DuckDuckGo it. And Dr. Perry's HealthSpan Partners website is https://healthspansouthwestflorida.com. Check out Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers group on Facebook. I'd like to thank all those who help and contribute each week to build this podcast. I couldn't do it without you. Our website is gutpunch.com, and the email address is gutpunchedac@outlook.com or jeff@gutpunch.com. Thanks for joining us, and please come back again. God bless.
This has been Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, with your host, Jeff Edwards. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to us on all the platforms like Spotify, Apple, Pandora, and more. If you have a question or want to get in touch, our email is gutpunchedac@outlook.com.